No lie, this cake almost made me have a mental breakdown and sent me to therapy. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Yeah, that's what I tell myself every time I start baking for a custom order. So I said yes to this cake that you saw, and then I had a little freak out because I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone with this cake by a lot, and I mean a lot. So everything is going nice and smooth, just like this frosting. And it wasn't until the animals came out of the jungle that I started losing my sanity and about ready to have a mental breakdown, which you will see. This is lemon buttercream frosting, and I am just putting a crumb coat on, and then I'm going to toss it in the freezer for about a half an hour so that I can make it easier to put the final layer of frosting on. It makes it so much easier with the frozen cake. So this part went smooth and easy piece of cake.
Haha, very funny.
Pun intended. See what I did there? Anyways, so at this point of the cake, like I said, it's going nice and smooth, but in my head, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with the jungle animals that I have to make. So I used chocolate modeling clay for this because it tastes much better than fondant, in my opinion. And I realized after not working with chocolate modeling clay actually since my school days, that it's also a lot harder to work with. So that was part of the issue that was a pain in the ass for me. I used Merkin's melting candy chocolates. They are the best in my opinion, at least so far that I have found. They taste more like white chocolate than those other melting candies. But the problem is because they're made out of chocolate, they tend to get melty when or soft when they get warm. So here I am doing the final frosting coating. And again, this was pretty simple and easy. Went smooth, no problem whatsoever. I take that back. I did have a little bit of trouble because one thing I did when I made my buttercream is I whipped it on high speed, and you're really not supposed to do that because that's what creates air bubbles and air pockets. So I did have a little bit of trouble with that. I was in a hurry and I did something I knew I wasn't supposed to do. So sometimes I just need to remember to slow down and take it easy and make sure I do it right, especially when it is a custom cake order for a customer. So that was part of my issue, is just making sure there was no air bubbles in there. But other than that, it was fine. I was trying different tools because I bought that big plastic thing that you saw me using a minute ago, and it really is not much easier than the tool I'm using here or even the offset spatula I was using. So I was just trying to see which one's easier for me, and I found this one to be the best because it wasn't a super tall cake. So I just went with that and finished that off. So at this point, I'm pretty much got it as smooth as I'm going to get it. And I'm going to wrap the edges and the top with parchment paper so that when I go to take it out of the freezer, I don't get my fingerprint marks on it. And that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm also going to wrap it in plastic very loosely, but making sure that I wrap it very well so that it's airtight so that it does not get dried out. So, like I said, all of this beginning part was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. In a minute here, you're going to see where I start to lose my sanity and my emotional damage starts happening, and I just get really frustrated with working with those animals. So now I'm putting it in the freezer again to set up while I'm working with the rest of my chocolate clay animals. And this is where it all starts going downhill. And when I mean downhill, I'm just like literally, when I first start, I'm like, oh, this is going well, this is fine. And these animals had crevices in the molds. I will show you a picture in a second. So this giraffe mold was one of the ones I was having the hardest time with because you see all those little crevices where the spots are. I was having so much trouble with that in that I tried several different things. I tried painting it first with my food coloring and then adding the white, or not the white, but the cream colored giraffe part in, and it just made a big mess and didn't work properly. So then I tried coloring my my chocolate modeling clay in a brownish color like the spots were and tried filling them that way. And it was a pain trying to fill the tiny little spot because the chocolate modeling clay kept warming up in my hands and sticking to it and coming out as I was trying to stick it in. And then when I would get a piece in, another piece would come out because my hand would stick to it. So it was just a pain in the butt. And, anyways, I finally got them all done. I had to redo them probably 3 times. Actually, I did them twice. I had them all ready to go. And then I decided that they weren't good enough for my liking. And the price that I was charging this lady, I wanted to make sure that they were the best that I could give her and they were not up to par. So I redid 3 out of the 4 a third time, and then I was happy with it. It still wasn't perfect, but at that point, it was what it was, and I just wasn't going to deal with it anymore. And so, what I ended up ultimately doing is coloring my modeling clay in whatever color the animal was supposed to be, and then painting on whatever needed to be painted on. So you'll see later, I think I recorded myself painting the giraffe. I don't remember at this point. Like I said, I was so exhausted. It took me way too long to make this cake, let me just tell you. And the reason why I did say yes to this cake is because the only way I'm going to get better at doing it is to do it, right? That's the only way you get better at it. So practice makes perfect. And so when I saw the lady requesting someone to make this cake, I reached out to her and said I would love to make it for her daughter. And we messaged back and forth. And when she sent me the picture of what she wanted, I went, oh shit, what did I just get myself into? And I thought, you know what? I didn't even panic after that. I thought I'll figure out how to make it work. This is the infamous giraffe that was giving me nothing but trouble. This was like one of the worst ones to do. And the zebra actually was pretty bad. Even though it didn't have that many stripes on the inside, it was still giving me trouble. But yeah, this giraffe was a pain in my butt. So I just kept figuring out what way worked best. And that's when I decided to just put the light color in the whole giraffe and then just paint it later, which is what I ultimately ended up doing. I'm sorry that I did not video myself actually putting the animals on and making the leaf and the sides and all that stuff, but I was more focused on making sure that this cake was perfect for her daughter because she was so excited about it. And I just couldn't do it in front of the camera anymore. I was literally just before having a nervous breakdown and about ready to cry. And I'm telling you, I probably spent about 15 hours on this cake over the last few days of making it. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this cake, and I really do hope that she loved it as much as I enjoyed making it, even though I almost lost my sanity trying to do so. But I do have to say, I am very proud of myself for pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I pushed myself way, way out of my comfort zone this time, and I will definitely do it again. And hopefully, it won't stress me out as much as this cake did. But you will definitely be seeing more of this in the future. If you made it this far in the video and you feel for my sanity and my emotional distress, please hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get all future uploads. And don't forget to take whisks and just try not to burn anything down while you're doing it.